Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a video straight from the Google Cloud YouTube page here. So this is their own content. I use Google Gemini, so I'm really excited to see what they're talking about in terms of agentic AI workflows versus agents. So going to be a super helpful video for anybody out there that uses Google Gemini or the Google tools they have and get integrated with their components into applications, into their server and cloud-based things that they have built out. With that being said, if you guys are liking the AI content, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to have new AI content coming out every single day. With that, let's jump in.
Welcome back, everyone, for Real Terms with AI Season 2, where we cover things about AI, but using terms software developers actually know.
Last season, we covered many of the building blocks for using generative AI, from topics like retrieval augmented generation to data protection and even how to use tools and things like function calling. But this season, it's going to be all things agentic, and we're also going to use some different formats of video to see how it works.
So Jason, we were half joking last year when we asked the question, what even are agents? But let's talk about it again here to really understand what the notion of agentic means and how we can have some common definitions going into this season all about.
So this looks like it's a pretty high-tech or high in-depth video of AI agentics and AI agents. So super excited because this is what we want. This is what we need. We need those in-depth computer software programmers, developers, whatever you want to call them, talking about how they're building this stuff. Once we can understand how they're building the tool, we could then go in and use the tool to our advantage. So a lot of this stuff may fly even my head because I'm not a developer or a coder, but we'll see what kind of information we can extract from this.
About agents.
If we're making a season about it, we should probably have some common definitions before we get into the rest of it.
Yes, we should.
So let's first talk about some different things about what actually makes an agent. And what's great is there's been so many publications more recently about what makes something agentic and then what those different flavors of agentic behavior actually are.
Okay.
For the first part, I think it's easiest to think of something being agentic as using non-determinism in something like a generative AI LLM to perform a task or a set of tasks where the specific outcome is not deterministic or not the same answer every time. Now, agentic behaviors can be tied together in order to create workflows or even AI agents that combine these tasks and workflows together to drive to a specific outcome.
So that's a good starting point. I'll add on to that with how we talk about AI agents versus agentic workflows. Generally, a workflow is going to be more deterministic, and it's going to be more focused on the decision-making and outcomes. They'll be more predictable than you'd have with an AI agent. Or with an agent, we're going to give it agency to make and take decisions that it needs to in order to accomplish a goal or an outcome.
Let's take a look at this chart here because this is, if you guys have watched a couple videos now, we've been really honing in on the workflow versus AI agents. And workflows are great. Workflows you could build yourself. You could use tools like Zapier. You could even have ChatGPT build a workflow for you, right? So let's take a look at the left over here, agentic workflow. So your LLM analysis, whether that's Google Gemini, whether that's OpenAI, whether that's Grok, whatever you use, right? You can have some sort of analysis towards the problem you're trying to solve. Within that LLM analysis, you're going to have data extraction. So maybe you're looking at crypto charts, right? This is just an example that I use for data extraction. You could go look at crypto charts, stock performance charts that has a lot of data, a lot of time, a lot of numbers that you could go in and extract that data, give it to your agent. Then once it kind of thinks through that data, it'll give you an answer inside of your LLM, whatever application you use. Then you have a human review element of it, and then a processing tool in terms of how you're going to put that data review and extraction into place. Now, AI agents, on the other hand, you can give it defined task of what you want it to do, but then it's going to go in and do those tasks. So on this box here, define task, it's going to work towards those tasks. It's going to then complete those tasks, and then it will reflect. Was that the best way to do it? Is there better ways to do it? Somebody else does it this way, and then they could think about it themselves and reflect on if they did it to the best of their capabilities. That is the best thing that I've seen out of AI agents that separates it from the workflow. The workflow, it can get done. It can do these things. But is it going to think abstractly and think about what it's already done and then redo it? That's what I see most out of these AI agents.
This is an important distinction because many of the things we want to do and build don't actually need an AI agent. They're better suited for an agentic workflow. A true AI agent can pick any number of tasks in any order to accomplish the outcome, whereas a workflow will be more probabilistic and predictable.
I think those are a great kind of set of rules for us to apply here. So let's walk through a couple examples. First one I have is just using a workflow. So here, what we may have is an example flow is one that can process an invoice, where the workflow may use an LLM that has a set of tools to analyze the invoice, scrape the data off of it, and then put the data into a form. Now, in this case, the user still reviews the information and ultimately uploads what was in the form to a processing tool. An agent.
Okay, so very similar kind of example to what I used. He's using an invoice. So invoice will come into the company, right? Instead of a human taking as an accountant, right? So this is what accountants do. You take in that invoice and put it into a tracker usually, make sure you're caught up on your invoices. The AI workflow can do that itself. Take the data out of the invoice, put it onto a spreadsheet, and then goes into human review. Very simple.
Agent in this example could be something like a software agent, where the only thing you give the agent is a goal, which is, hey, I want to create a website with the game Snake. Now, what the agent then does is define what tasks it has to go perform, performs the tasks, and even does reflection to make sure that the tasks are meeting what the outcome is that the agent specified. And all of this is being done autonomously to reach the initial goal that was specified, and ideally the outcome that we want.
So, Jason, why is this actually important, and how the heck are we going to use this in this series?
That's a great follow-up question. So here, if we think about how we need to break down agentic behavior, a lot of this really comes down to things that we do in human interaction. So how much agency do I have, or how much agency do you have to make certain decisions that you may have in something in like a business setting? We have to take these and then break all these things apart. Next question back to you. When should I use an agentic workflow or even create my own AI agent?
So, interestingly enough, many of the questions we have to solve today or the things that people are trying to build don't actually need AI agents. Agentic workflows are a better fit. You can get significant benefit from putting a single LLM step or maybe a couple LLM steps into an existing deterministic workflow. For example, maybe doing some processing or a summarization step. When you build agentic flows like that, it's important to consider the risks, both positive and negative, and also what could happen if you made it fully agentic. If you build an agentic agent, for example, for customer service, you need to be prepared that the agent may not make the decisions that you as a human would have chosen to make in some circumstances. In this case, scaling back things like that to more of a workflow where you're intentionally putting a human in the loop and behaving more deterministically may be better. But
I agree with this part because there is going to be that workflow aspect that you could build it out and then you're going to get constant reports back, or you could build it out and have oversight of what you're working on. When it's an AI agent running on its own, you don't have that level of control and that level of clarity onto what it's working on, right? It's kind of doing its own thing. It's in the background, but the workflow, you know what kind of results you're going to get a lot quicker.
in those situations where you can define a goal and an outcome and you can define a logical trigger for the agent, an agent may be best suited to do something for you where the autonomy is desirable.
That makes a lot of sense to me. So another thing that we heard from everyone at home is that we want to see more examples of these things in action.
Yes.
And so as we go along this season, we'll be publishing a number of different code snippets or architectural examples to the GitHub links below, where you can go try out some of the most important concepts that we're talking about here in each of our videos. We hope these will help you take some of these abstract topics and just make it implementable for your specific use case.
So it's great to be back with all y'all for this season as we dig into agents and unpack agenticness. More videos and references are in the links below. We hope that these are great starters for you.
All right, guys. Well, I think that wraps up this quick little short video for you guys today. I wanted to get something out, and this video, looked like it might have had a little bit more information from a technical perspective, but it looks like this is their first episode of a season, so they're going to be probably diving in deeper. They wanted to give just a brief overview. I think Google could afford a little longer than a 5-minute video, though. I wish they would have made a little longer video. But, kind of informative, kind of the things we've been talking about of AI workflows versus AI agents. Still, another good video of breaking down the difference. And even what this lady said here is that not everybody needs an AI agent. We don't need an AI agent to go off and do all these crazy complex problems when we could just set up a workflow ourselves and then get the benefits of that workflow. Because I think the LLMs like Grok, Gemini, OpenAI, ChatGPT, all can do the things that we're looking for it to do. They're super smart and super capable compared to what we're going to have in the future. But understanding these products now is going to set us up for the long term for those AI agents when they do start rolling out. And I'm sure these companies will be rolling them out to a very high level and degree. So it's important to understand the LLMs and the workflows that can go into those AI agents. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please, over 90% of you people who are watching the videos are not subscribed. So please, please go down and hit the subscribe button. It'll really help out the channel. And we'll make sure you guys are here for the next video.